components in our educational system. I want to discuss these things, and I think I want to mention curriculum design, like designing aims and objective, designing content, designing methodology, and also designing evaluation system. And first, aims and objectives of the curriculum. And this type of work actually it originates from the work of Benjamin Bloom. And often in our educational field, this particular expert is very popular, and the terminology related to this is Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's initially systematically worked on this topic, that's aims and objective of curriculum. And before this categorization of objectives of the curriculum, in educational psychology or in psychology, behavior generally behavior is explained in three category or three domain. What are the domain? These are the three domains of behavior. First is cognitive domain. It is basically related to our thinking process, reasoning, problem solving, decision making, even metacognition or attention, memory, motivation. This type of thing is under the domain of cognitive domain. Second is affective domain. This is related to our emotion, attitude, values, etc. And the final one is psychomotor domain. It is related to our motor activity. Okay. So, according to psychological view, our total behavior is categorized into these three categories. In general, or generally, we highlight the cognitive domain of student. That means enhancing or developing different cognitive factors. Generally, we emphasize these cognitive factors. That means developing the characteristics of individual or child related to cognition. That means reasoning ability, thinking ability, metacognition ability, like that. But psychologists generally consider human being as the summation of these three domains. And for considering this viewpoint, we generally in educational field, we generally define education as the total or all-round development of an individual. And this all-round development means development of cognition, development of affective domain, and development of psychomotor domain. And Benjamin Bloom, he is a landmark work in his research work. He and with his associates, they categorize these three domains in different factor and in some hierarchical order. So in cognitive domain, there is some hierarchical order. In affective domain, there is also some hierarchical order, and also in psychomotor domain. And in this context, in today's discussion, I want to highlight only cognitive domain hierarchy. Okay. And I want to show you the oldest version of Benjamin Bloom's taxonomy. Although there is a modern or latest version made by Anderson, I don't want to show or highlight this thing in depth. I want to show the simple hierarchical model of Benjamin Bloom's cognitive domain. According to Bloom's, the lower category or lower portion or lower stage, not stage actually, lower portion or category of our cognitive domain is knowledge. Knowledge means where no understanding is needed. Suppose I want to ask a question to my student, what is the capital of India? And in this type of information and in this type of question, a student don't have to need or don't have to understand anything. He only memorize the thing, and after the some time, he simply recall or recognize these things in front of or in another situation. This is the knowledge. And after knowledge, there is another category which is called understanding. And in this category, we or generally the student have to comprehend the matter. And above this category, there is another factor that is called application. What is application? Application means what you understand in understanding category, the student understand or comprehend some concept, and then this student can apply this knowledge in another situation or in new situation or in practical situation. This is called application level. After this, there is another portion which is called analysis. That means students can analyze the different components of the components. If you consider the communication cycle or communication, if you consider the communication or classroom communication, there are different components like sender, like that means teacher, message, media, receiver, and also the feedback loop. So in this category analysis, student must know the different components of the components, and for this reason this category is called analysis. Now after analysis, there is another category which is synthesis. That means student can synthesize different components to a meaningful whole. And after considering this synthesis is the last phase or last category is called evaluation. Evaluation means judging something as good or bad. And according to Bloom, this is the highest level of cognitive domain. So evaluation is a very difficult task rather than synthesis, analysis, application, understanding, and knowledge. So according to Bloom's, in this cognitive domain, the easy component is knowledge, and the most difficult component is evaluation. So this is the hierarchy of cognitive domain. And in the same way, Bloom's and his associate categorize psychomotor domain and also affective domain. And what is the necessity, or what is the need, what is the importance of this domain in our curriculum? Okay, that's fine. Then not only this hierarchy, Bloom's also coined another term which is called instructional objective. What is instructional objective? Instructional objective is like a statement, framed by teacher before entering the classroom as in a manner so that he can state the statement in such a way that the learner, what is the ability? This is the statement. This is the instructional objective. Not like that. After completing today's lesson, this is the statement of the teacher before entering the classroom. After completing today's lesson, the learner will be able to, suppose the topic of today's lesson will be X. X is a concept. So this is the statement made by the teacher for this particular classroom, that after completing today's lesson, the learner will be able to define X. That means define the concept. If it is related to a topic, suppose reflection, then learner will be able to define reflection. The learner will be able to explain the nature of reflection. The learner will be able to discuss the importance. Here is not necessary that in an each every component all these things are relevant. So this is the statement a teacher framed before entering the classroom, as in that manner that after completing today's lesson, learner will be able to do these things. And this define, explain, discuss, this term is called actually action verb. That means it is measurable, and we can measure this thing in a classroom situation. Okay. And there are different types of action verb. What type of action verbs? These are the action verbs which are relevant in our instructional objective category. If you consider some of them, that means calculate something, compute something, it is related to our mathematical portion. If you consider some paraphrase, subdivide, summarize, all these things are this type of action verb which can be used as in the format of instructional objective. So when teacher enters the classroom or start discussion in the classroom, he should have in his or her mind that these are these action verb or these are these instructional objective which I or teacher should try to develop during the classroom situation. And now, after this concept of instructional objective, which are framed by our Benjamin Bloom, and in our modern concept or in modern document or recent document of ADP 2020, there is a term which is called learning outcome. And this learning outcome is actually based on this instructional objective. And in NDP 2020 different document, you can see that a learning outcome is a statement that describes what a learner is expected to be able to do after completing a lesson or course or program. And if you consider the statement of instructional objective, it is like that. After completing today's lesson, the learner will be able to do this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing. So this modern concept of learning outcome is based on actually Bloom's instructional objective or Bloom's taxonomy. So in a particular course or particular program, there must be some instructional objective or learning outcome based on knowledge, and there must be some learning outcome based on understanding or analysis or application or synthesis or evaluation. Now, if you go above, then your program or course is somehow difficult. So if you consider the unit 1 of a particular course or particular program or course or paper, and if you continuously or step by step go to the last unit, you can find that in the first or second unit there is emphasis So this is the learning outcome. It is a statement that describes what learner is expected to be able to do after completing a lesson, course or program. And in our NEP 2020 curriculum framework, there is a two term. One is program learning outcome and another is course learning outcome. PLO and CLO. Sometimes CLO is called or acronymed as CO also. What is PLO? PLO are statements that describe the competencies a student should acquire after completing the entire academic program. That is BA, BEd or MA, MEd or BSc, MSc, etc. So this program learning outcome are the terminal statements. That means after completing the total program, the learner will be able to this type of things. And if you consider the CLO, that means course learning outcome, it is something in micro level. It is very specific to this particular course. Suppose in educational psychology, there is some specific course learning outcome. And obviously, this course learning outcome is related to our program learning outcome. So this program learning outcome is a broader category or broad category, either 6 or 7 or 8. And if you consider this course learning outcome, this is very specific, and the number of this CLO is more than the PLO. In our educational field, when in our master degree course in education, there are different subjects. Educational psychology, educational philosophy, educational sociology, research methodology, educational technology, like that. So in every course, there are different course learning outcomes. And this course learning outcome, each and every course learning outcome is somehow related to our broader program learning outcome. So there must be some relationship between PLO and CLO. And in our undergraduate syllabus and also our postgraduate syllabus, there is some and rubrics like diagram, or tabular diagram, where we can or we relate these two things in a single table, like in that way. This is program learning outcome, PLO1, PLO2, PLO3, PLO4. And suppose there are 4 papers in semester 1 or total semesters. Educational psychology, educational philosophy, educational sociology, educational technology, like that. And educational psychologies, there are suppose 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 course learning outcome. So this course learning outcome is somehow related to either PLO, PLO2, PLO3 or PLO4, not necessary for all. So this is our recent learning design, course aims and objectives design. So this is the one part of my discussion, which is basically related to our curriculum design with respect to aims and objectives of the curriculum. Okay. And then my second component, which is related to content. Okay. And when we enter into this content, before discussing the concept or the component of content, we have already everyone know the concept of credit. According to UGC or NEP 2020, credit represents the total workload of a student required to complete a course successfully. This is the total workload. It includes classroom teaching, practical work, tutorials, field work, projects, and self-study, everything. And if you go through the curriculum guideline of NEP 2020 curriculum guideline of undergraduate or postgraduate syllabus, then you can find that the credit should be divided in different categories, not only classroom lecture, but also tutorials and also project work or field work. But it is not necessarily both these components are included in the same subject or same category. There must be some subject which is like dissertation or project work. There are some subject which is basically theoretical. There are some subject which are some portion is theoretical and some portion is practical. So the classroom teaching or total workload is divided in different categories. Now, what is the exact meaning of credit system? What is that? According to the UG, I want to show the basic structure, curriculum and credit framework for undergraduate programs, UGC. This is actually published before the NEP 2020. And in this document, it was written that 1 credit is equal to 1 class hour per week for theoretical course, and 1 credit is equal to 2 class hour per week for a practical course. So, next. So, syllabus will be framed considering the credit of a particular course. If credit may be 2 credit, 4 credit and 6 credit. 2 credit means there is 2 classes per week. If the credit of a course is 6, so there must be 6 class per week. So, considering the credit structure, the syllabus content will be considered as which is the total length or total volume of course is basically related to our credit structure. If the credit structure is 6, then it is much lengthier, and if it is 2, this is shorter than obviously considering the 4 and 6 credit. So, and there is some fixed guideline for assigning credit in a particular PG or UG courses, and there is a guideline. There must be some guideline in a particular university or affiliating university. Suppose in our university, there are obviously affiliated colleges and also university department. So there is a credit structure guideline. In our UG structure, there is a guideline, and in our PG structure and in our university, we are trying to finalize the PG curriculum 2 years according to NEP 2020 guideline. If you consider this, that in our university, UG education, there is 170 credit and PG education is 84 credit. This 170 credit is actually for 4 years NEP 2020 curriculum, and in PG education 84, it is also our newly structured guideline for PG course and curriculum in our university department. And the structure of the general guideline for credit is actually 80 to 86. In our department, it is 84. So as per this credit structure or credit, we have to finalize or develop the content of the curriculum, basically syllabus of the curriculum. There are different syllabus in a curriculum. So we have to develop the curriculum content or the content of the syllabus as per the credit structure of this course or program. Now the second portion is methodology of our teaching learning process. According to the definition of TABA, there are 4 components. One is aims and objective, second is content, and third is methods. And I need to discuss this methodology portion. Now, how to design our modern teaching learning methodology. Okay. In our modern concept in education or educational psychology, there is a concept which is called constructivism. It is not very new, but in our educational structure in India, there is a document which is called NCF 2005. And in this NCF 2005 structure or guideline, this constructivism or constructivism philosophy is very much highlighted. So what is the basic meaning of constructivism? What is constructivism? Constructivism is a learning theory. And in this learning theory, it states that learners actively construct their own knowledge based on their prior experiences. Okay, based on their prior experiences. And also with interaction with others, and also reflection within this student, rather than passively receiving information from teachers. So this is the basic, the basic thing is student construct their own knowledge and teacher is like helper or facilitator. So this is the basic assumption of constructivism. That means teacher, student constructs his or her own knowledge in his or her own manner. And teacher only helps or facilitates to the learner so that he can gain the knowledge through his or her learning style. And if you consider this constructivism in different way, in that way, one of the major or primary components or prime component proponents of constructivism is Vygotsky. There is also another name which is related to our constructivism philosophy, Piaget, Brunner, like that, even Dewey. But this term is initially coined by this person, Vygotsky, or popularized the term, is constructivism. If you consider this picture, consider the pictures, that there are three circles. One is green, another is yellow, and the outside is white. According to Vygotsky, an individual can do something at that particular moment, and this is the inner circle, what I can do now. And the yellow circle means what I can do with help from others, or that means I have the ability, but without help I cannot do these things. And this is called, this is quite interesting, it is called ZPD. That means zone of proximal development, or ZPD, or zone of potential development. That means an individual or a student may do something, but it is not possible without the help of an experienced person. And the last one, and this type of help is called scaffolding. It is very important to consider this Vygotsky's constructivism philosophy or concept, that teacher must scaffold or help student to reach the ZPD. Because in the green portion, teachers has nothing to do, because the individual can do himself or herself. So the teacher's main role is to guide, is to help or scaffold the individual so that the person or the individual can reach the ZPD portion. And the final ring or the outside ring, these are the activity or these are the work a person cannot do. If teacher or someone helps in this portion, they cannot do this thing, these things. So actually in the middle portion, the green portion is called ZAD, zone of achieved development or zone of actual development. And the yellow portion is called ZPD, zone of proximal development or zone of potential development. And if you consider the outermost side, sometimes it is called ZBD. ZBD means zone beyond development. It is not possible, it is not possible an individual to do this type of work. So this is a very important aspect of our today's learning design or classroom situation. And based on this Vygotsky's constructivism or Piaget or Brunner or Dewey, the classroom should be arranged in such a way that there must be some collaborative learning, cooperative learning, peer learning, or group discussion in a class. So interaction is more important than giving only information by the teacher. So teacher should encourage students to discuss with their classmates in a closed situation, and after discussing a particular topic, then they discuss this matter to the whole class or to the teachers. This is the main components or main thing or main concept of constructivism. Okay. So based on this constructivist model, based on this constructivist philosophy, there is a teaching learning model which is called 5E model of teaching learning process. And in this process, the first step is engaging the people in the learning situation, and then the exploring means explore the new concept in such a way that they can think or they can able to brainstorm in their own way. So this is the second portion, which is called exploring. So teacher explore the situation, the new concept in that way that student can think with his prior experience or prior learning and try to explore the idea or explore the concept. And after that, student explain the concept in his or her own way, and teacher must confirm the explanation, and if needed, teacher facilitate or guide the student. And after explaining, the teacher should or must elaborate the situation or elaborate the concept with further examples. And teacher can take examples from students also. And after completing this fourth step, the final step is evaluating. So this is the 5E model of teaching and learning based on constructivism philosophy. The 5E means first E for engaging, second E for exploring, third E for explaining, fourth E for elaborating, and fifth E for evaluating. So this is the newly designed teaching learning methodology as per new NEP 2020 and also previously framed NCF 2005. Okay. But now, if you consider the today's picture after the pandemic situation or COVID-19 situation, we can find that there are different methodology based on technology emerged. That is digital learning, online learning, blended learning. And considering the whole things, the curriculum transaction design is also changed drastically. As per UGC guideline or UGC framework or UGC suggestion, that theoretical class may be done online up to 60%. That means 60% of the theoretical class may be scheduled through online mode and 40% in physical mode. And in case of practical class, there should not be any online classes. It is some suggestion or guideline from UGC in 2021, I think so. Okay. And if you consider this term, educational technology, there is two terms. One is education and another is technology. And this technology, if you consider the term technology, there is three meanings from three types of dictionary. From Oxford Dictionary, technology is the application of scientific knowledge for the practical purposes, especially in industry. In Merriam-Webster Dictionary, technology means the practical application of knowledge, especially in a particular area. And Collins Dictionary, technology refers to the scientific knowledge and the practical methods used in industry, engineering, and everyday life. So considering these three definition, there is a term which is called scientific knowledge or something like that. So what is the scientific knowledge? Actually, if you consider the term scientific knowledge, so then we can consider that is there any unscientific knowledge? No. This is not like that. It is like that there is some knowledge which is scientifically proved. That is, it's this knowledge validity or applicability is broader. So what is the scientific knowledge? Actually, the knowledge gained through research. So when we apply this knowledge gained through research in the field of education to enhance the applicability or effectiveness of the educational process, then it is called educational technology. And nowadays, this technology is or now reach in a position, in a situation that we can handle different problems in a new manner. Although there is some problems of digital divide, digital addiction like that, but this phenomena or this research in the field of educational technology helps us to manage or to control different educational barriers, and in this way or in that way we try to solve different educational problems in or with the help of educational technology. Oh, so this is the first machine. This is the first machine which was used in our educational field. The first machine, and the machine is called teaching machine, and this is Preci's teaching machine. But it is not actually a machine used for teaching. Actually, this machine is actually used for evaluation purpose. But this is the first machine in the year 1921 like that. And after that, there is another man which is called B.F. Skinner. He invented program instruction or program learning, and it is also a machine type things, but it is not computerized machine, it is manual machine. And after that, there is first CAI, that means computer assisted instruction, which is called Plato. It is type kiosk type machine, and there is a different programming or different types of information are loaded in these things. This is the first in 1960. University of Illinois launched the first generalized computer assisted instruction, and they call it as Plato, program logic for automatic teaching operation. This is the first machine used in our educational field, which is computer based. And then online or digital learning. This is the first institute, the new school in New York City. And this institute first starting online learning or digital learning. Then is mobile learning. And now there is a concept of blended learning. Okay, and just time is 11:59, so I want to finish this portion up to this slide, and there is some other slides in this discussion, and in the next session I will finish my next slides, and during this session I want to discuss I discussed three things. Number one is aims and objectives of the curriculum. Number two is content of the curriculum, and just discuss. I cannot finish all the slides, that the transaction or the curriculum transaction of the in nowadays system. So up to this my first session. So if any question from the participants you may ask, I will try to answer your queries if any. মনে হয় এখানে আমাদের ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গলের অনেক আছেন, যদি আপনারা আপনাদের মতন করে বাংলায় কোশ্চেন করতে চান, জিজ্ঞেস করতে চান, ইট ইজ ওয়েলকাম, নো প্রবলেম।
যদি কোনো কোশ্চেন নেই, স্যার, if there is no question,
আমি তো আরেকটা সেশনে আসবো আবার।
স্যার আপনার তো আবার 2টো থেকে 3টে সেশন আছে।
ওই টাইমটা না আমি একটু বলেওছিলাম, মিলন বাবুকে বলেছিলাম যে অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমার উনি আমার 3টে থেকে 4টে ছিল, তো উনি আমাকে একটু ইয়ে নিতে বলেছেন, ওই টাইমটা আমি একটু কম থাকতে পারবো, আমার একটা 2:45 একটা মিটিং আছে।
ওকে স্যার, ওকে, নো প্রবলেম, নো প্রবলেম,
ঠিক আছে।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ
ওকে
for your beautiful lecture, and we will be meeting again at 2 p.m. with sir.
Okay,
all the participants will meet, and now, so thank you sir.
Okay, thank you. I just leave.
Now another session will be beginning, and this session will be taken by Professor Deepak Kumar Midda, Department of Anthropology, Vidyasagar University, and he will be talking on the topic healthy aging and emerging global issue. Healthy aging and emerging global issue. So Professor Deepak Kumar Midda will be taking this session, and I welcome Professor Deepak Kumar Midda to this session. Okay. So the next session will begin very soon. Sir, welcome, sir. Hello. Sir, please unmute yourself. Sir, Deepak sir, please.
उस माइक की बंद करते पड़ेगा ना होता
ऑन कर दी
अब मिनिमाइज कर दी
Sir,
hello
sir, welcome to this session, sir.
Okay, thank you. Am I audible and visible?
Yeah sir, yeah.
Okay, then this is the
Sir, you can begin now.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So good morning. Because aging is a very natural phenomenon, we cannot avert it, we cannot avoid it, but we have to face it as a natural process. Aging, very simply, aging can be defined as a progressive process of growing older, marked by gradual physical, mental, and cellular changes, leading to a decline in physiological function and increased vulnerability. So with the progressive aging, and individual will face increased not only decline in his or her physiological functions, he or she also face increased vulnerability. So as an civilized species, we have a greater role to ensure healthy aging of our elderly people in the society. But how can we do it? What are the factors involved with aging? And whether we can control all the factors or some of the factors, what will be our role as a award social actor? So I will give some, share with you, all of you, some of our findings of recent studies, which will show you what are the factors which can be, which are actually associated with aging and the problem of aged peoples, and what are the factors which can be manageable, can be negotiated to ensure a healthy aging. So why healthy aging is important, is significant? Why aging is the number of aged people or elderly adults are growing in a rapid speed? There are two important factors which are contributing towards a great number of increase in elderly people. The first is declining fertility rate and advancement in medical care. These two factors contributing towards increase in life expectancy rate. So as the life expectancy rate is increasing, we are in a position to see vast number of elderly people in the society. I will share some data with you, which will clearly show you the issue, how it is maybe a great problem in future. Who in 2018, whose estimation, worldwide estimation is that the elderly aged persons will be double from 900 million in 2015 to 2 billion in 2025. So an increase from 11.5% to 22%. Another figure shows us that by 2030, the worldwide frequency of the older population, that means the 60 years and above, will surpass that of the younger population aged less than 15 years. So it clearly shows the shift of balance of population demography of the elderly people compared to the sub-adult. In India, we can see the older adults constituted 6.8% according to 2018 census, the latest available figures so far. But by 2030, the older population in India is projected to rise from 90 million to 315 million. It is projected to be 19% by 2050. So the share of older adults will exceed the working population. And it is going to be a great burden, quote unquote, on the domain of public health. Because the rulers, the administrators may see it a great burden to take care about of this vast population in our country. So what will be the problems which we have to face in future? This great number of older people may face a great degree of mistreatment or abuse. And these mistreatment or abuse may be psychological, may be physical, neglect, and financial abuse. The figures, I have given some figures to give you the magnitude of mistreatment globally. The frequency of mistreatment ranges globally from 2.2% to 36.2%, with a mean of 14.3% in 1 year. There are some specific instances in Hong Kong. The percentage of misuse is 23.5%. In USA, it is 3.2%. In Ireland, it is 2.2%. In China, it is 36.2%. Again, in Croatia, it is 61.1%. And in India, as per IIPS figure 2020, it is 5.2%. So now you can see the magnitude of the abuse of elderly people all over the world. And our concern is that how we can manage this problem. And older people, when an older people faces mistreatment or abuse, the most prominent problem they face is mental health problems. And these mental health problems may be in addition to the physical problems. The physical problems we can observe it, but in mental problems we have to develop a kind of mindset to understand the mental problems of the aged people. And these mental health problems may be of different natures. It may be mental stress, it may be depression, it may be suicidal mortality, it may be increasing susceptibility to hospitalization, and also reduced quality of life and well-being. So these are the major problems what the elderly people can face. As per the Delhi's estimation, depression will top global disability by 2030. WHO also in 2023 reports that 280 million people globally suffer from depression. Then older adults experiencing psychological mistreatment show 5.3 times higher chances of attempting suicides. Are very alarming figures. 5.3% higher chances of attempting suicide. In India, what is the phenomenon? 17.13 million older people are suffering from depression. And that is also very not a very recent figure. That work was conducted in 2012. WHO in 2017 reports that 85% of the older people with depression were not receiving any help from their caregivers. Caregivers means their family members, their close relatives, or maybe the neighbors, who are the probable caregivers for older people. What are the factors may be involved which can contribute to the healthy aging or unhealthy aging of the elder people? There may be biological, which have two components, genetic and medical condition. The genetic conditions we cannot control, intervene in that one. And in mostly we cannot intervene nowadays. There are some technological development occurred which can provide us the opportunity to genetic intervention also, but that facility is not available to the great mass of one country, particularly the lower and middle income countries. And again, the medical conditions, which can be better with medical supervision or medical interventions. But the major contribution in this domain is sociocultural. And there are so many sociocultural factors which influence the health of elderly people. Age, with the growing age, the elder people becomes more susceptible to health problems. Gender, particularly in the countries where male chauvinism is greatly observed. So you can see a gender disparity in case of health interventions or other interventions or caregiving. Education, living arrangement. By living arrangement, I mean whether an older people is living alone or with his partner, his or her partner, or with or without with the other family members, or with or without having close attachment with their relatives or neighbors. Physical activity, cognitive and physical disability, financial dependency, whether an older people is dependent on others for financial reason, and ethnicity. Ethnicity means, for simply the concept of ethnicity, for Skarmarhorn, it is a collectivity within a larger society having a real or putative common ancestry, having memories of shared historical past, and a cultural focus on one or more symbolic elements of culture, defined as the epitome of their peoplehood. So a group of people having a real or fictional ancestry and some common shared memories about their past history and cultural focus on one or more symbolic elements, that marks their that gives them the community, that gives the collectivity a clear identity phenomenon which can be used to differentiate them from the similar others. And these symbolic traits may be language, maybe religion, traditions, dress patterns, ornaments, food habits, ritual practices, and such things. And with this preliminary idea, we have conducted for the past few years on this particular issue. And we, for conducting our study, we selected West Bengal. Why West Bengal? West Bengal is the third ranked state in the elder abuse phenomenon. Bihar tops the list with 11.7%, Karnataka with 10.1%, and West Bengal 7.6%. So West Bengal is one of the most, one such state where we can find very, very frequent cases of elder abuse. That's why we have selected West Bengal as the study area. And this study was cross-sectional, descriptive, and the area we selected, the area is Midnapur Sadar block. It was purposely selected because this block is shows the great population of tribal and both non-tribal populations and who are in a very low and middle income group. And for the purpose, we have selected 5 villages which are selected through simple random sampling. And to determine the sample size, we applied the formula given in the slide. n is equal to z square pq by d square, where n is the desired sample size, z is the statistics corresponding to the level of confidence, p is the proportion of the study population who are abused from previous studies, q is equal to 1 minus p, and d is the degree of accuracy desired. So applying this formula, the initial sample size was 379, following an estimation prevalence of elder abuse being 44% in an earlier study conducted by Kumar and others in 2024. And with this initial sample size, we have added the probable percentage of withdrawal of study participants, non-responsive participants, and there may be some critically ill participants who cannot further interact with, cannot be interacted further for their severe illnesses. So including 14 to 15% extra, the final sample size became 507, including 268 tribal and 239 non-tribal individuals, combining both male and female. What are the variables we have considered? Socio-demographic. These are basically socio-demographic, including age, gender, ethnicity, marital status, education, living arrangement, occupation, functional impairment, and monthly family income. For assessing the functional impairment, we have used activity daily living scale of cards. For assessing or examining depression, we have used geriatric depression scale. It was validated in Indian context by Chakraborty and Lahiri in 2020, so it is a validated scale in Indian context. That is why we have used this scale. For assessing elder mistreatment, we used VAS scale. For social support, assessment of social support, we used the MSPSS scale, multidimensional scale of perceived social support. And the data were obtained through questionnaire, and this questionnaire was pre-tested on 15% of the study participants initially, and modified accordingly after getting the response. So this question is pre-tested and validated in our study conditions. What we have found, you can see the socio-demographic profile of our study group. The study was conducted during 2022 to 24. You can see the slides. I am not reading the details. The mean age was 68.12 plus minus 7.57. Depression was 5.646% plus minus 4.16. Abuse was 3.09% plus minus 2.56. And social support for 54.21%. The ethnic groups were considered as tribe and non-tribe, gender male and female, marital status for married and widow, including the widower. For the educational level, we considered categorized the entire group as with no formal education up to primary education, up to secondary and above education. And occupation, some participants are working, they are in working conditions, and some are in not working conditions. They constitute 76.5%, the non-working population. And the monthly family income are categorized as low, middle, and high. The low was 25th quartile, and middle from 26th to 75th quartile, and high is the last 25% quartile. And the living arrangement, alone and co-residing co-residing with partner and family members. Functional impairment, whether the study participant has any functional impairment, there are two categories, yes or no. The 27% participants has functional impairment compared to the 23%, 73% who don't have any observable functional impairment. This is the study part, the basic characteristics or socio-demographic characteristics of the study participants under these conditions. What we have found, you can see the prevalence of elder mistreatment, depression, and social support in case of our study group. The depression, mild depression is found among 8% among the tribal populations, and whereas it is 25.5% among the non-tribal populations. And moderate depression is found in 11.6% tribal population, whereas it is 7.6% among the non-tribal populations. And severe depression was found among 10.4% tribal population, whereas it is also 10.5% among the non-tribal populations. And the second phenomenon of mistreatment, it was categorized into four categories, four groups: psychological, physical, neglect, and financial. And you can see that the psychological mistreatment is found among 44%, more than 44% study participants who are belonging to tribal communities, whereas it is 45% among the non-tribal communities. But interestingly, physical mistreatment was high among the tribal participants compared to the non-tribal participants. And neglect is again high among the non-tribal populations, non-tribal participants, so it is about 30%, whereas it is only 17% among the tribal communities. Financial mistreatment, it is 14.9% among the tribal communities and 19% for the non-tribal communities. And social support, low social support is found among 25% of the study participant who belong to the tribal community. It is 41% among the non-tribal community. Medium social support is found among 31% respondent who belong to the tribal communities, whereas it is 34.7% among the non-tribal communities. And high social support found among 44% of the tribal communities, tribal participants, whereas it is only 24% among the non-tribal communities, non-tribal participants. If we conduct a bivariate regression estimate of abuse and depression by background characteristics, we can see that you can observe a quite peculiar phenomenon. We have developed 4 models, and you can see that the result of a regression estimate in the table. The most prevalent phenomenon appears from this table is that for depression, the corrected model p-value was insignificant. However, the individual predictors showed significant association. The social support demonstrated a strong association with depression and educational attainment. And educational attainment was significantly associated with depression, with low education levels relating to higher likelihood of depression. Other variables such as age, gender, ethnicity, marital status, occupation, living arrangement, and functional status did not show significant independent effects. For elder abuse, the corrected model was also not statistically significant. Nevertheless, the social support, educational status, and functional impairment were significant predictors of elder abuse. The other predictors like age, gender, ethnicity, marital status, occupation did not have an independent association after controlling for clustering. So with these major findings, we can see again that the association of elder abuse with living arrangements, functional impairment, ethnic group identity of ethnic identity. And you can see that the difference of prevalence of elder mistreatment and depression between tribal and non-tribal communities, despite sharing the same geographical region and almost same socioeconomic condition, but having different societies living with distinct values and norms. So cultural values and norms have a great role to play in the phenomenon of elder mistreatment and abuse. The study further explored the interaction effect of social support and ethnic orientation on both abuse and depression among respondents. The overall prevalence rate of mistreatment of older persons was higher, 33.3%, than that in the studies conducted in the Western societies. So compared to the other studies in Western societies, the phenomenon of elder mistreatment in India is comparatively much higher. When we conducted a complex sample logistic regression for abuse model, we have seen the following features given in the table. The study found that nearly half of the older people, about 42%, are suffering from depression, the magnitude of which was higher than previous study in India, which was conducted by Behra et al. In 2016. Again, it was found that the older people of tribal group were less depressed, 30.2%, compared to those in the non-tribal groups, which is 53.6%, which is higher than the studies previously conducted in India by Reshmi et al. In 2022, Khaman, Langsdane in 2018, and others. The increased prevalence of depression and mistreatment of non-tribal older individuals in this study might represent a larger socioeconomic and structural disparity between the tribal and non-tribal groups. The older adults from non-tribal communities are primarily residing in nuclear families and relatively urbanized settings in which social cohesion and intergenerational support might be weaker than in tribal groups. But that may create a difference between the percentages or frequencies of elder abuse among the tribal and the non-tribal communities. So based on this study, what are the major observations? The key observations are the older adults among the non-tribal community are expressing higher frequency nearly 43.5% of mistreatment compared to that of the tribal people, which is only relatively lower, which is only 24.3%. The rate of suffering from depression were higher among the older people of non-tribal community, 53.6%, compared to that of the tribal section, that is 30%. The frequency of low social support was higher among the non-tribal section, it is 41%, and the social support was higher among the tribal section, 44%. The model 1 shows that the older individuals from non-tribal ethnic group had higher odds of reporting abuse and depression. The other individuals with low social support had 6.36 times greater odds of being depressed than those with higher social support. It is also found that in case of model 2, that the older people from the non-tribal group had almost 2 times higher odds of reporting abuse compared to that of the tribal groups. Again, the older women consistently reported a lower quality of life compared to that of the men. The presence of gender disparity in quality of life indicated that India requires the implementation of increasingly effective policies, programs, and services to promote gender equity in connection with the quality of life of the elderly people. This study also demonstrated a negative correlation between age and quality of life. As the individuals age, their level of social support decreases, resulting in declining in their achievement in overall quality of life. The study further showed that the social support had the most significant impact on quality of life. So it may be said that the social support is very much essential to ensure quality of life of our elderly people. Our research team comprises these scholars who are working on this for the last 2-3 years, and found very interesting data regarding the association of different socioeconomic factors with elderly mistreatment or abuse. These are some important publications out of this study. Journal of Nutrition in Gerontology and Geriatrics, it is Taylor Francis Journal. Another is Journal of Elder Abuse and Neglect, Rutledge. Another journal is Journal of Aging Studies. It is accepted very recently. So with these preliminary observations on this study, on this phenomenon of elderly abuse or mistreatment, we can have a very clear message to all the participants that unless you provide adequate social support to your elderly people, the quality of life of the elderly people will not be good. And in the near future, in the coming days, by 2030 and to 50, whenever we will face a great number of elderly people in the society, and that time we will be or you will be in that stage, becoming elderly people at this stage, you will face the same challenge, you will face the same fate. So I request all of you to provide adequate social support. Social support means the regular interaction with the elderly people to allow them to take decisions on family and other affairs, so that they can be in a good mentally alert position that will boost their physical health also. So in our studies, we have found that in the tribal society, the elderly people are taking various decisions regarding their community affairs and family affairs. So they are relatively living a life with greater alertness, greater capability of taking decisions in later stages of their life compared to the non-tribal populations, where we generally avoid to give them that focus or give them that importance to take decisions in family and social affairs. So that make a great differences in their healthy aging. With this very brief message, I should say thank you. Thank you to everybody. So now I request any comment or observation from all the participants. Any comments or observation? Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Any comment or observation?
I would just like to make a statement, not a statement, just a comment, an observation. Almost all of us have older people, senior generation in all of our homes. So the study we have found, the study that you have shown, it's quite sad to see that many elderly people, they do suffer from depression and other things. So knowing very well they are going through that kind of phase, it is also equally impossible, almost impossible on the comparatively younger generation to cater to them, to help them out, owing to our busy schedules. So it is just only part of, I think it's our duty to give them support, emotional, to be there in their company whenever they require, if not every time, at least sometimes. So I don't see why, what possible way out could there be to address their depression. That is very
I know that in the present condition we are very busy, and particularly in the so fast life, we cannot give much time to interact with our older people. But there are two possibilities to avoid this situation, at least to decrease this declining situation. They may be allowed to interact with their neighbors, their friends, their relatives, whichever may be. Not only the family members, their friends, their neighboring peoples, their relatives. They should be given the chance or opportunity to interact with these peoples, to keep them, and that situation make them very alert, very aware about the situation, and their physical condition will be much better if compared to the situation where they will live alone. And secondly, it may be wrong, still they may be allowed to take decisions about the family affairs, at least to some extent, which decisions may not make a great differences in your living conditions. If you give them the opportunity to take decisions, their not only psychological, their nervous system will be much more alert, much more active, and that will make a clear differences in their quality of life. So we can at least adopt two strategies to allow them to interact with their friends, their neighbors, their relatives. And secondly, they may be allowed to take some decisions, at least some decisions.
Yes, yes, yes,
That will
absolutely
make
right.
them
Yes, yes, these
feel
two are very important observations from you. Thank you, sir.
yes,
I'll
yes.
keep them in mind. I'll keep them in mind.
Sometimes in non-tribal society, particularly in our comparative study, we have seen that uh, whereas then in tribal society, the elderly people are given the enjoying that capacity, that authority to take decisions about the communal affairs. But in case of non-tribal societies, we generally used to say that you don't understand anything, you are not in a position to take decisions about this. You please keep quiet. So that makes an elderly people uh, alone and isolated, delineated, alienated from the society, from the family, everything. So
Yes,
that makes a very difficult conditions for the elderly people, which make them very unhealthy aging.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely right. Right.
So thank you everybody. If
Thank you,
any
sir.
other
Thank
comment,
you so much.
so okay.
Thank you, sir.
You, the organizers also. It's a very great opportunity for me to interact with all of you. If it is offline, that certainly would be more enjoyable for me also to interact with our participants. That is a great limitations of the online mode where we cannot directly interact with the participants. However, the program is very good, and I wish success for this whole program, and hope these programs will be very beneficial for the participants.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And we have given a very enlightening lecture on this old age because old age is an imminent thing and unavoidable. That is the reality of everybody's life if one lives till old age. And so the psychological realization of the psychological condition of the old age and acting according to that because the generations after generations the flow of life is going on, sir, and ultimately culminating in the wisdom of the old age, but when that wisdom is neglected by the young. And that is a social crisis, and which, as you had pointed out, that in the present era, that has intensified more because of our technological involvement. So thank you, sir, for your enlightening speech, and we will be learning more from you in the future. If there are opportunities, and we can create opportunity to have your gracious presence in the midst of us to listen to you. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank you very
thank you.
much.
So I am leaving now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the next session we will begin at 2 p.m. And in the next session, we will be having the module 14, professional development and lifelong learning for teachers by Professor Bijan Sarkar, as I have already mentioned. And tomorrow actually we will have two sessions. And, so we will be meeting at 2. Till then, thank you all.